Hey guys, so Thanksgiving and Christmas are right around the corner, and for those of you that are Jewish, Hanukkah's around the corner. With the holidays in full swing, a lot of us are. Sorry, my cat's trying to get my attention. His name is Dio, named him after the droid Dio in Rise of Skywalker. He always tries to get my attention when I'm doing something else. So the holidays are in full swing, and a lot of people are watching Hallmark movies, Hallmark romance movies. Some are watching the old stop motion Rankin Bass movies, and others are just kind of tuning it out. Some people choose to tune out the holiday noise. Um, and others find their own movies or shows, guilty pleasures that they enjoy watching around the holidays. So I'm curious, what shows, movies, series do you like to watch around the holidays? I know that we are predominantly sci-fi based, so that makes this question a little more interesting. Is there a certain sci-fi movie or TV series that you like to watch around Christmas time? Maybe Doctor Who, maybe one of the Star Trek series. Do you like to watch just some old black and white monster movies, the Universal movies, or do you just not have a preference? Do you just put the TV on and just play some random sci-fi movie? I tend to fall into, I don't know about you, but I tend to fall into that category. Although I do like to watch older classic sci-fi movies during Christmas time. Star Wars, as you can see behind me, is always a good default around Christmas time. And it's a default any time of year, but Star Wars is always a good fail-safe. Particularly maybe some of the lighter-hearted movies and series like Mandalorian's pretty dark, but it has a happier. It trends in a more positive direction than some other Star Wars series like Andor or or Kenobi. So some so one year I watched my wife got me a rare DVD copy of the Star Wars Holiday Special, and um, I loved having it. I love having it, present tense. Uh, I just enjoy, as a completionist, I'm glad to have it on my shelf. I'm glad to have the Star Wars Holiday Special. Watching it, both of us, my wife included, would attest that watching this movie feels, even though it's called a special, it's much more. It's a feature length film. It's not some 20-minute TV special, as the title implies. It is an hour and 15 or hour and 20 minutes. It is a long, long movie. It feels like 3 hours, though, because it has almost every scene does not lead or build. Each scene does not build on the previous scene. Each scene is completely disconnected and unrelated to everything else before it. At one point, you have a hologram band playing some music number, cut to another scene with Art Carney in it, or Harvey Korman as some three-armed alien robot thing that's on a cooking channel. Then suddenly everything switches over to a short animated segment featuring Boba Fett for the first time. Some fun trivia. And actually, probably the best part of the entire holiday special is that short animated section. But even that's pretty bad. The animation on that 2D animation is really bad. As for the rest of it, it's just boring. Nothing consequential happens. If anything of any remote interest happens, it's just interesting because it is so misguided or so just deranged weird, derangingly weird. For example, there's a scene where an elderly Wookiee, purportedly Chewbacca's grandpa, I think, his dad or his grandpa, one of the two, pulls up a 3D visor and starts to listen to and watch this this young woman who is singing, and she has this weird glittery background behind her, but some of her dialogue, or most of her dialogue, is extremely suggestive. Almost like we went from watching a Star Wars holiday special for kids to a softcore pornography, which it's strange. It's moments like that where it's like, I don't know what the goal was. Were we trying to entertain kids? Were we trying to entertain adults? Were we trying to drive everybody away? I don't know what the market strategy is behind that last one, but the last one's the only one that makes sense, because there's so many weird conflicting things throughout the special that just don't mesh together well. So the special is probably best watched through not Mystery Science Theater, the Riff Tracks commentary, which there's segments of it available for free on YouTube. I think you can also purchase it off the Riff Tracks website. There may be some other avenues available as well on Amazon. I'm not sure. I would first check the Riff Tracks site and see what they've got available. Speaking of Riff Tracks and Mystery Science Theater, Santa Claus Conquers the Martians is a good one. That was one of the first Christmas-themed episodes of MST3K, where they riffed Santa Claus Conquers the Martians. Really bad movie. Again, it was obviously designed for kids, but the low production value and the weird, crappy quality in the dialogue, the set and suit designs are just terrible. It's a very awkward movie, I think is the best way to put it. It's very awkward. There's a polar bear sequence in the movie where a polar bear is trying to devour some kids, because that's what you go to see a Santa Claus movie for, to watch a polar bear murder some kids. The polar bear is obviously a guy in a bear suit, and you can see the line of the bear mask, I guess you could call it. It's the part of the suit that goes over the head. You can see the lining of the suit very clearly on camera. Nobody bothered to try to cover it up. Really, really good bad stuff. And the premise itself is just outrageous. The idea of Martians kidnapping Santa Claus. For goals that aren't 100% clear, something about Santa Claus making Martian kids depressed. That's all I remember. That's all that the movie, from what I recall, that's all the movie just kind of goes off of. Everything else is just one big shit show after another. Mystery Science Theater is the only way that I would encourage you to watch it. You possibly could watch it without it in a it's so bad it's good way, but I would not encourage that. So there's Santa Claus Conquers the Martians, which is sci-fi, fantasy, also inadvertently comedy if you go the Mystery Science Theater route. And if you watch the Mystery Science Theater episode, you will be delighted to see a great host segment by the robots, particularly hosted by Crow, where Crow coins this song called "Have a Patrick Swayze Christmas." And actually, I don't remember if it's Crow or if it's Tom Servo, which one makes up the song, but everybody sings it. Joel in both robots. It's pretty great. At the very least, stick around to check that out. And there's a couple of other Christmas-themed Mystery Science Theater episodes too, but I can't think of them right off the bat. There is a horror themed Jack Frost. That's more horror than sci-fi, but if you're into bad movies, that's kind of an interesting one to watch. There's a few. I know as soon as I end the video, I'll think of some stuff. Mostly what I intend on watching will be, just me personally, will be just old monster movies. That's probably it. I mean, when I was 7 or 8 years old, I think it was about the time that the '98 Godzilla movie came out. My Christmas was just Godzilla video, VHS tapes galore. I think I got Godzilla versus Biollante, Godzilla versus Mothra, the 1964 original film, Godzilla versus Monster Zero, and maybe one other. I think it was those three, plus a bunch of 1998 Godzilla merch. And the year before, I got one of those mid '90s Trendmasters Godzilla figures, which were really cool. They kind of had a comic book-ish look to them, kind of cartoonish looking version of the Toho monsters, but they were really cool. And they even came with their own trading cards, so that was really cool. And now you can only find them on Amazon or eBay for maybe $100, something in that ballpark, maybe 50 or 60 if you're lucky. It depends on the seller and the quality of the item, but that's a rare thing to find now. So I know Christmas time, about 13 years ago, Avatar came out. So I guess Avatar, you could almost say that's a Christmas themed movie. It's not really Christmas themed, but it came out around Christmas time. From what I remember, it came out around November or December of 2009, and I only saw it recently. It's a bright, colorful movie, so I guess you could watch it around the holidays. It's pretty good. It's more of a visual experience than anything else. The performances are good. Stephen Lang's a good bad guy. Sigourney Weaver's good as always. The final battle or battles, there's a couple final battles at the end of the movie, are really cool. The whole idea of transporting your consciousness into another being, another entity, is kind of interesting. I liked it. I don't know if I loved it, but I liked it. I hear there is a sequel coming out. I don't know when it's coming out. You guys might check me on that one. Fill me in on the release details, if they're out yet. Weirdly, I vaguely remember Jurassic Park being a Thanksgiving themed movie. And I'm not joking. I remember being probably about 5 years old, maybe 6, and seeing Jurassic Park playing on primetime TV on Thanksgiving Day, or the day before Thanksgiving. I don't remember when. I remember it, and I'm pretty sure it was kind of characterized as Thanksgiving. I don't know why, because no one eats. There's no big dinner scene, except I guess the scene right after the raptors devour the cow, and then comically the characters are then subjected to, okay, let's go eat after seeing this big cow slaughter. Other than that awkward juxtaposition from one scene to the other, everything else it's a summer blockbuster movie. I don't know why NBC played that during the Thanksgiving break, but I do remember it being played around the holidays at some point. I could swear it was Thanksgiving. I may have to look that up too. I guess I'm sitting here looking around, and I saw my Empire Strikes Back poster, and I thought, oh, wait a minute. Empire Strikes Back has a bunch of snow, possibly like the North Pole. Anyone? So And the Wampa vaguely reminds me of the Abominable Snowman in Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer in the Rankin Bass movie. That thing scared the shit out of me. I don't know about y'all, but the Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer for a while, for about a year or two, scared the shit out of me. Just because of the big, wide-eyed, crazy-eyed, abominable snowman that kills people. You see bones and stuff in its lair, just like the Wampa. And then at the end of the movie, they defang it, so this thing presumably can't feed itself anymore. So that's some of the Rankin Bass movies have a little bit of a dark undertone that I just never caught as a kid. Although I guess I did catch some of it because that one in particular scared the hell out of me. I love the rest of Rudolph. Don't get me wrong, I love the classics, but that aspect of it really disturbed me as a kid. But Empire Strikes Back, I guess you could pop it in the holidays. It makes you think of the wintertime. Its pace is a little slower, a little more methodical. Kind of goes along with, the idea of the holidays, just kind of winding things down. Although the ending is a little more melancholy, it's a little more mature, so it doesn't have the happy ending of A New Hope or Return of the Jedi or one of the other bookender Star Wars trilogy movies. Besides Revenge of the Sith, I guess that one's a downer ending. But let's see, what are some other sci-fi themed, or what are some other holiday themed sci-fi movies? I know everybody talks about Die Hard being a Christmas classic, which in itself I'm not going to dispute because I know that it has a lot of Christmas visuals. It takes place during Christmas. But that's obviously not sci-fi, so not counting that. So what else do you guys think of as far as movies, even if they're not Christmas movies or Thanksgiving movies? What movies do you like to watch during the holidays? What movies get you what movies just make you feel at home, make you feel comfortable? When you're off work for a few days and you get some time with your family. I really like Creature from the Black Lagoon. That's a movie that I like to watch this time of year. Which there's absolutely nothing holiday-ish about the whole movie, but for me, there's a nostalgia factor because the first time I saw Creature from the Black Lagoon, I saw it around Christmas time. I think I found it on a movie shelf, and one of my grandparents got it for me, and we watched it. It's kind of one of those Christmas presents. We're like, oh yeah, I guess I'll get you that one too for Christmas. So we got it, and I watched it, and loved it, of course. And again, that's just my personal preference because it's something I saw during the holidays. You guys may have a movie that you saw when you were a kid around Christmas time or Thanksgiving or New Year's. Hey Dio, hey buddy, hi Mau Mau, you're a good kitty. I know, good Mau Mau. Twilight Zone, that's another one. Twilight Zone, I don't know if it still does, but it used to play on the Sci-Fi Channel used to run marathons all the time on the Sci-Fi Channel around New Year, on New Year's Eve and New Year's Day. And I used to sit there for a couple hours and binge watch 5 or 6 episodes. Really love doing that. So I think Twilight Zone fits under the holiday category for me. I'm sure a lot of you might pick Doctor Who. For some reason, I just got a vibe that Doctor Who is a big thing to binge watch around the holidays or extended weekends. So anyway, I've rambled on long enough. So you guys let me know what kind of movies, what kind of sci-fi movies do you like to watch during the holidays? Comment below, let me know, and I'll talk to y'all again soon, okay?